Commander Jake Morrison walked through the long hallway of the Galactic Council building. His boots made soft sounds on the smooth floor. The walls were covered with symbols from hundreds of different alien races. Each symbol told a story of power and control. Jake had seen these symbols many times before, but today they made him angry. He stopped at the big doors that led to the main council room. Two tall alien guards stood there. They looked at Jake with cold eyes. One of them was a Xanthari with blue skin and 4 arms. The other was a Kylox with gray skin and a long neck. Both guards carried energy weapons that could kill a human in one shot. "The council will see you now," said the Xanthari guard. His voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. Jake nodded and walked into the room. The council chamber was huge. It had a high ceiling with lights that looked like stars. Around the room sat representatives from 50 different alien species. They all looked down at Jake from their high seats. In the center of the room was a small platform where humans were supposed to stand when they spoke. Jake walked to the platform. He carried a datapad with Earth's latest request. For 30 years, humans had been asking for the same thing. They wanted fair treatment. They wanted their colonies to have the same rights as alien colonies. They wanted to trade freely with other species. And they wanted to stop being used as soldiers in other people's wars. The head of the council was Counselor Vextal. He was a hegemony alien with purple skin and 6 eyes. He looked at Jake like he was looking at a bug. "Human Morrison," Vextal said in a bored voice. "You have requested another meeting. What does Earth want this time?" Jake took a deep breath. "Counselor, Earth requests permission to establish trade routes in the neutral zone. Our colonies need access to rare minerals that can only be found there. We also request that human ships be allowed to carry passengers between systems without special permits." Some of the aliens in the room started to laugh. Others made clicking sounds with their mouths. Jake felt his face get hot, but he kept talking. "Earth also requests that our military support agreements be changed. Human soldiers have fought in 12 different wars in the last 5 years. We have lost over 200,000 people fighting for causes that have nothing to do with Earth." The laughter got louder. Counselor Vextal raised one of his 6 arms and the room became quiet. "Human Morrison," Vextal said, "Earth was given membership in this council because you are useful. You build things we need. You fight wars we do not want to fight. You solve problems we do not want to solve. That is your purpose." Jake felt something break inside his chest. "Our purpose? We are not tools, Counselor. We are people, we have families, we have dreams. We want to build a future for our children." "You want too much," said another alien. This one was a Veltar with green skin and no eyes. "Humans are young. You have only been in space for a few 100 years. Other species have been here for thousands of years. You must earn your place." Jake looked around the room. Every alien face showed the same thing. They thought humans were nothing. They thought Earth was just a factory that made soldiers and workers. "We have earned our place," Jake said. His voice was getting louder. "Human engineers designed the communication systems you use every day. Human doctors found cures for diseases that were killing your people. Human soldiers died protecting your colonies from pirates and invaders. What more do we need to do?" "Counselor." Vextal leaned forward. "You want to know what more you need to do? The Xanthari Empire is planning to expand into Kylox territory. They need 1 million human soldiers. Earth will provide them." Jake felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. 1 million? "Counselor, Earth's total military is only 3 million people. You want us to send 1/3 of our forces to fight in a war that has nothing to do with us?" "That is correct," Vextal said. "The Xanthari have requested human soldiers specifically. They say humans are very good at dying for other people's causes." More laughter filled the room. Jake saw some aliens pointing at him and making jokes. "In their own languages, and if we refuse?" Jake asked. "Then Earth will face economic sanctions," Vextal said. "No alien ships will trade with human colonies. No alien governments will buy human products. Your people will starve in space." "Jake," stood there for a long moment. He thought about all the human colonies scattered across the galaxy. He thought about the families living on those colonies. He thought about the children who had been born among the stars, far from Earth. All of them depended on trade with alien species to survive, but he also thought about the human soldiers who had died fighting alien wars. He thought about the human engineers who worked day and night to keep alien technology running. He thought about the human doctors who had saved millions of alien lives. All of that work, all of that sacrifice, and this was how aliens treated them. "I need to contact Earth," Jake said. "You have 1 week," Vextel said. "After that, we will. Assume Earth has chosen sanctions over cooperation." Jake turned and walked out of the room. Behind him, he could hear the aliens laughing and talking. Some of them were already making plans for how to use the million human soldiers dotted in the hallway. Jake met Captain Lisa Hayes. She was Earth's chief diplomatic officer. She had been waiting outside the council chamber. One look at Jake's face told her everything she needed to know. "How bad is it?" Lisa asked. "They want 1,000,000 soldiers for the Xanthari War," Jake said. "If we refuse, they will cut off all trade with human colonies." Lisa closed her eyes. 1,000,000 soldiers. That's genocide, Jake. They're asking us to commit genocide against our own people. "I know," Jake said. "But if we refuse, our colonies will die anyway. Without trade, they can't get the supplies they need to survive." Lisa opened her eyes. "There's a third option," she said. Jake looked at her. "What do you mean?" "We could leave," Lisa said. "All of us. Every human in the galaxy. We could go back to Earth and Sol System. We could cut all ties with the galactic community." Jake thought about this. "Can we do that? Can we really survive without them?" Lisa smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Jake, who do you think has been keeping their civilization running for the last 30 years? Who built their communication networks? Who designed their transportation systems? Who trained their doctors and engineers?" Jake started to understand. "We did. Humans did all of that." "Exactly," Lisa said. "They think they need us to build things and fight wars. But they don't understand that we've been building everything. We've been running everything. Without us, their whole civilization will fall apart." Jake felt something new in his chest. It was not anger anymore. It was something colder and more dangerous. It was determination. "Contact Earth," he said. "Tell them we're coming home. All of us." Lisa nodded. "What should I tell? The council?" Jake looked back at the big doors of the council chamber. Inside, the aliens were still laughing about how they would use human soldiers as cannon fodder. "Tell them that Earth withdraws from all galactic treaties," Jake said. "Tell them that we're taking our people and our technology and going home." "Tell them that they're on their own now," Lisa smiled. This time it was a real smile. "They won't believe it. They think we can't survive without them." Jake started walking toward the exit. "Then let's show them how wrong they are." Behind them, the council chamber continued to echo with alien laughter. But soon, Jake thought, they would not be laughing anymore. Soon, they would understand what they had lost. And by then, it would be too late to get it back. Admiral Katie Brooks stood in the command center of Earth's Deep Space Operations Facility. Around her, hundreds of screens showed star maps from across the galaxy. Each red dot on those maps was a human settlement, base, or station. Each blue dot was a human ship. Each green dot was a human-built facility that other species used every day. Katie had never seen so many dots before. In 30 years of expansion, humans had spread farther than anyone realized. They were everywhere. They built things. They fixed things. They kept the galaxy running. "Status report," Katie said to her aide, Colonel Danny Martinez. Danny looked at his tablet. "We have confirmed locations for 847 human settlements across the galaxy. That includes military bases, research stations, trade posts, and colonies. We also have 12,000 human ships in service, plus another 8,000 that belong to other species but have human crews." Katie nodded. "How many people total?" "Approximately 200 million humans living outside the Sol System," Danny said. "Most of them have never even seen Earth. They were born out there, among the stars." Katie felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. 200 million people, all of them depending on her to get them home safely. And the alien response? Katie asked. They still think we're bluffing, Danny said. The Galactic Council sent another message this morning. They're giving us 3 more days to come to our senses and provide the 1,000,000 soldiers they demanded. Katie almost laughed. 3 more days. They have no idea what's coming. She walked to the main display screen. It showed a timeline of the evacuation plan. Phase 1 would take 6 months. Phase 2 would take another 3 months. Phase 3 would take 2 months. In less than a year, every human in the galaxy would be gone. Send the signal, Katie said. Operation Homecoming is a go. Danny pressed a button on his control panel. Across the galaxy, human commanders received the same message. Pack up, we're going home. On Kepler Station, Captain Steve Johnson read the message and smiled. Kepler Station was one of the largest trade hubs in the galaxy. It sat at the crossing, point of 5 major shipping lanes. Every day, thousands of alien ships stopped there to refuel, trade, and get repairs. What the aliens didn't know was that Kepler Station was almost entirely human-built. The fusion reactors that powered the station were human-designed. The docking systems that allowed ships to connect safely were human-engineered. The computer systems that managed traffic control were human-programmed. Even the life support systems that kept the station's air clean were human-made. Steve walked through the station's corridors. Everywhere he looked, he saw human workers doing jobs that aliens thought were simple. But these jobs required years of training and experience. The aliens had never bothered to learn how to do them. Attention all human personnel, Steve announced over the station's communication system. We are beginning immediate evacuation procedures. All non-essential equipment is to be removed or destroyed. All essential equipment is to be shut down and secured. We leave nothing behind that can be used against Earth. The human workers on the station understood immediately. They had been preparing for this moment for weeks. They knew exactly what to do. In the engineering section, Dr. Peter Collins was leading a team of technicians. They were carefully removing the control chips from every piece of human-made equipment. Without these chips, the equipment would be useless. Remember, Peter told his team, we take everything that can be moved. We destroy everything that can't be moved. We leave nothing that works. One of the technicians, a young woman named Amy Clark, looked worried. Dr. Collins, what about the aliens who work here? Some of them are our friends. Peter paused his work. Amy, I understand how you feel. But we have to think about Earth now. We have to think about our families. The aliens made their choice when they demanded our soldiers. Now we're making ours. Amy nodded sadly. She understood, but it still hurt. Meanwhile, on the station's main level, alien traders were starting to notice that something was wrong. The human workers who usually helped them load and unload cargo were nowhere to be found. The human technicians who usually fixed their ships were missing. The human administrators who usually processed their paperwork had disappeared. A Xanthari merchant named Crickstyle approached an alien security officer. Where are all the humans? He asked. The security officer, a Kylox named Veshtar, looked around nervously. I don't know. They were here this morning? Maybe they're on a break? Crickstyle shook his head. All of them, at the same time? Something is wrong. They were right. Something was very wrong. But they wouldn't understand how wrong until it was too late. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. On military bases, human soldiers were packing up weapons and equipment. On research stations, human scientists were erasing decades of work from alien computers. On trading posts, human merchants were closing their accounts and transferring their money to Earth banks. The aliens didn't understand what was happening. They had never paid attention to how much humans actually did. They saw humans as workers, not as the foundation of their civilization. On the planet Zarian, General Claire Peterson was overseeing the evacuation of the largest human military base in the galaxy. The base provided security for 7 alien colonies and 3 major shipping routes. Without it, the entire sector would be defenseless against pirates and raiders. Status report, Claire said to her operations officer, Major Rick Thompson. All personnel are ready for evacuation, Rick said. We've removed all weapons, vehicles, and equipment. We've also wiped all computer systems and destroyed all communications equipment. Claire nodded. What about the aliens? They're starting to panic, Rick said. The hegemony governor contacted us this morning. He wanted to know why we were abandoning our posts. I told him we were following orders from Earth. Claire looked out the window at the alien cities in the distance. Those cities had been safe for 30 years because of the human base. Now, they would have to defend themselves. Any word from the Galactic Council? Claire asked. They're still demanding that we provide the 1,000,000 soldiers, Rick said. They also sent a message saying that our tantrum has gone on long enough. Claire laughed bitterly. Tantrum. They think this is a child's game. She picked up her communication device and sent a message to all human forces in the sector. Final evacuation begins in 24 hours. Leave nothing behind. We go home with our honor intact. On trading stations throughout the galaxy, human merchants were discovering something interesting. When they tried to close their accounts and transfer their money, they found that alien banks had been using human funds to make loans to other species. The aliens had been spending human money without permission, but the humans had prepared for this too. Dr. Alex Turner, Earth's chief financial officer, had been quietly moving human assets for months. By the time the aliens realized what was happening, most of the money was already gone. They took our money, said one alien banker to his supervisor. The humans took all their money and left. How much money? The supervisor asked. All of it, the banker said. Every credit, every investment, every savings account. They emptied everything and transferred it to Earth banks. The supervisor felt sick. Human money had been supporting alien economies for decades. Without it, many alien businesses would collapse, but the money was just the beginning. The real problem was the technology. On communication stations across the galaxy, human engineers were shutting down networks that had connected thousands of worlds. These networks had been designed and built by humans. They used human-made equipment and human-written software. Without human maintenance, they would stop working within days. Engineer Tom Wilson was working on the main communication hub for the Outer Rim. This single station handled messages for over 100 worlds. It was completely human-built and human-operated. How long until the system fails? Asked his assistant, Linda Davis. Tom looked at his instruments. Without us here to fix problems, maybe a week. 2 weeks if they're lucky. Linda shook her head. They have no idea how to run this place, do they? None at all, Tom said. They just assumed we would always be here to do it for them. As Tom and Linda prepared to leave, they could see alien technicians trying to understand the human-built equipment. The aliens had instruction manuals, but the manuals were written in technical language that required years of training to understand. One alien was pressing buttons randomly, hoping something would work. Another was trying to connect wires that didn't belong together. A third was hitting the control panel with his fist, as if that would solve the problem. Tom almost felt sorry for them. Almost. By the end of the first month, the evacuation was ahead of schedule. Humans were leaving faster than anyone had expected. They were organized, efficient, and determined. They had waited 30 years for this moment, and they were not going to waste it. The aliens were starting to understand that this was not a bluff. The humans were really leaving, all of them, and when they left, they were taking everything with them. Every piece of technology, every bit of knowledge, every system that had made galactic civilization possible. The galaxy was about to learn what life was like without humans. And the humans no longer cared if the aliens survived the lesson. Ambassador Ryan Carter sat in the deep space monitoring station at the edge of the Sol system. Around him, dozens of technicians watched screens that showed signals from across the galaxy. For the first time in 30 years, Ryan was not trying to send messages to alien governments. Instead, he was listening to their messages to each other. What he heard made him both sad and angry. "Sir," said one of the technicians, a young man named Gary Phillips, We're getting another emergency broadcast from the Zenthari Empire. They're saying that their entire military fleet is stuck in the Kepler system. Their ships can't navigate. Without human-built computers, Ryan nodded. What about the Kylox Federation? They're worse off, said another technician, Helen Rogers. Half their trade ships are floating dead in space. The fusion reactors that humans built are shutting down. One by one. The alien crews don't know how to restart them. Ryan looked at the main display screen. It showed a map of the galaxy with red warning signals everywhere. Each signal represented a crisis that was getting worse every day. 6 months had passed. Since the human evacuation began, the first month had been quiet. The aliens had celebrated, thinking they were finally free from human interference. The second month had brought small problems. Equipment failures, communication breakdowns, navigation, errors. The aliens had assumed these were temporary issues. By the third month, the problems had become disasters. By the fourth month, entire star systems were going dark. By the fifth month, alien governments were sending desperate messages to Earth, begging for help. By the sixth month, the galaxy was in chaos. Play the latest message from the Galactic Council, Ryan said. Gary pressed a button, and Counselor Vextel's voice filled the room. But this was not the same arrogant voice that had dismissed human concerns 6 months earlier. This voice was full of fear and desperation. People of Earth, Vextel said, the Galactic Council acknowledges that there may have been misunderstandings in our previous communications. We are prepared to negotiate new terms for human participation in galactic affairs. We are willing to discuss trade rights, colonial privileges, and military service requirements. Please respond to this message. Ryan turned off the recording. That's the 15th message this week. Each one more desperate than the last. Are we going to respond? Helen asked. Ryan shook his head. President Foster was very clear. No contact with alien governments until the evacuation is complete. We don't negotiate with people who threaten our colonies. Helen looked at her screen, which showed news reports from across the galaxy. Sir, it's getting really bad out there. The hegemony is fighting 3 civil wars. The Zenthari Empire has lost contact with half their colonies. The Kylox Federation's government has collapsed. Ryan felt a moment of sympathy for the aliens. Then he remembered the laughter in the council chamber when they had demanded 1 million human soldiers. His sympathy disappeared. They made their choice, Ryan said. Now they have to live with the consequences. On the planet Zarian, Governor Tauvex was discovering what those consequences meant. His planet had been one of the most prosperous in the galaxy. It had beautiful cities, advanced technology, and a thriving economy. All of that was gone now. The human military base that had protected the planet was empty. The human engineers who had maintained the power grid were gone. The human doctors who had run the hospitals had vanished. The human teachers who had educated alien children had disappeared. Tauvex stood in his office, looking out at a city that was slowly dying. Half the buildings were dark because no one knew how to fix the power systems. The streets were full of garbage because no one understood how the waste management systems worked. The hospitals were closed because no one could operate the medical equipment. Governor, said his aide, a young hegemony named Kestar, we're getting reports of fighting in the northern districts. The power failure has caused the water pumps to stop working. People are starting to panic. Tauvex closed his eyes. What about the technical manuals the humans left behind? We have them, Kestar said, but they're written in human technical language. Our engineers say they might be able to understand them in a few years if we can find teachers. A few years? Tauvex repeated. The city will be dead in a few weeks. Kestar looked uncomfortable. Governor, some of the other planets in our system are suggesting that we surrender to the pirates. At least then we would have some protection. Tauvex felt sick, surrendered to pirates. 6 months ago, his planet had been so secure that children could play in the streets at night. Now they were talking about surrendering to criminals. Send another message to Earth, Tauvex said. Tell them we're willing to pay any price for their protection. Sir, Castar said quietly, we've sent 17 messages to Earth. They don't respond to any of them. Talvex knew why. The humans were not ignoring alien messages because they were cruel. They were ignoring them because trust, once broken, was almost impossible to rebuild. Meanwhile, on the trading station Nexus Prime, chaos was spreading. The station had been the largest marketplace in the galaxy, where merchants from hundreds of species came to buy and sell goods. Now, it was a ghost town. Station manager Vrixtel walked through empty corridors that had once been full of life. The human-built artificial gravity systems were failing. The human-designed life support systems were breaking down. The human-programmed computer systems were crashing. How many ships docked this week? Vrixtel asked his assistant. 12, the assistant replied. Last year at this time we had over 3,000 ships per week, Vrixtel nodded sadly. Without human-maintained navigation systems, most ships could not find their way to the station. Without human-built communication networks, traders could not coordinate their business. Without human-designed security systems, pirates were attacking merchant vessels throughout the sector. What about the repair facilities? Vrixtel asked. Closed, his assistant said. The humans took all the advanced tools when they left. We can do basic repairs, but nothing complex. Most ship captains are afraid to risk the journey here because if their ship breaks down, we can't fix it. Vrixtel remembered the human engineers who had worked on the station. They had been quiet, efficient people who solved problems before most aliens even knew the problems existed. He had never bothered to learn their names. He had thought of them as just part of the station's equipment. Now he realized they had been the most important part of the station. Without them, everything else was useless. In the Outer Rim, Captain Ben Davis was commanding the last human evacuation convoy. His ships were loaded with the final group of human settlers from the frontier colonies. Behind them, they left empty buildings and silent machinery. Status report, Ben said to his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Martinez. All ships are ready for departure, Sarah said. We're carrying 50,000 colonists and their families. The convoy is secure and ready to jump to hyperspace. Ben looked at his display screen, which showed the colony they were leaving behind. New Hope had been one of the most successful human settlements in the galaxy. It had farms, factories, schools, and hospitals. It had been a place where humans could build a future among the stars. Now it was empty. Any word from the local alien government? Ben asked. They're begging us to stay, Sarah said. They're offering us full citizenship, tax exemptions, and guaranteed representation in their parliament. They say they'll give us anything we want. Ben almost laughed. 6 months ago, they wouldn't let us build a school without special permits. Now they want to give us citizenship. What should I tell them? Sarah asked. Ben looked at the empty colony one last time. Tell them it's too late. Tell them we're going home. As the convoy prepared to jump to hyperspace, Sarah received one final message from the alien government. It was from Governor Nexus himself, pleading with the humans to reconsider. Please, the message said, without you, our economy will collapse. Our people will starve. Our children will have no future. We know we made mistakes, but we can change. We can do better. Sarah looked at Ben. Should I record a response? Ben shook his head. The time for words is over. They had 30 years to treat us as equals. They chose to treat us as servants instead. The convoy jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Outer Rim behind forever. Back on Earth, President Amanda Foster was preparing for a historic announcement. She stood in the Global Communications Center, ready to address the galaxy one final time. People of the galaxy, she began, 6 months ago, the Galactic Council demanded that Earth provide 1 million soldiers for a war that was not our fight. They threatened to destroy our colonies if we refused. They laughed at our requests for fair treatment. They called us servants and tools. She paused, looking directly into the camera. Today, I'm announcing that the evacuation of all human personnel from non-Earth territories is complete. Every human citizen is now safe within the Sol system. We have brought home our people, our technology, and our knowledge. She stood straighter, her voice becoming stronger. The galaxy chose to reject humanity's partnership. Now you must learn. To survive without us, we will not be returning. We will not be negotiating. We will not be responding to your messages. You wanted us gone. Your wish has been granted. General Claire Peterson stood on the observation deck of Defense Station Alpha, watching the construction of humanity's greatest achievement. Around the Sol system, massive platforms floated in space like silver stars. Each platform was the size of a small moon and bristled with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. 2 years had passed since the last human ship had returned from alien space. 2 years since Earth had closed its doors to the galaxy. In that time, humanity had transformed from refugees into something entirely new. Status report on the Sol Defense Network, Claire said to her aide. Commander Helen Rogers. Helen checked her tablet. All 144 defense platforms are operational. Each platform has quantum beam weapons, antimatter missiles, and energy shields that can withstand direct hits from capital ships. The network can defend against any known alien technology. Claire nodded with satisfaction. What about the new technologies from Dr. Turner's team? The Dimensional Engine project is ahead of schedule, Helen said. Dr. Turner believes we'll have working prototypes within 6 months. The zero-point energy systems are already powering the outer colonies. And the new materials from the quantum foundries are stronger than anything aliens have ever seen, Claire smiled. When humans had been part of the galactic community, they had been forced to keep their technology compatible with alien systems. They had to make everything simple enough for alien engineers to understand and maintain. They had to share their innovations with species that gave nothing in return. Now, free from those restrictions, human science was advancing at an incredible pace. Dr. Alex Turner was working in his laboratory on Mars, surrounded by machines that would have seemed like magic to the aliens. His team had been developing new technologies for 2 years without having to worry about alien approval or compatibility. Dr. Turner, said his assistant, a young scientist named Julie Mitchell, the latest test of the dimensional drive was successful. We achieved stable travel between dimensions without any side effects. Alex looked at the data on his screen. The dimensional drive would allow human ships to travel faster than light by moving through parallel dimensions. It was completely different from the hyperspace technology that aliens used. It was faster, safer, and impossible to detect or intercept. What about the quantum communication system? Alex asked. Fully operational, Julie said. We can now communicate instantly across any distance, even between dimensions. The aliens will never be able to intercept or jam our messages. Alex felt a sense of pride. These technologies had been theoretical concepts when humans were part of the galactic community. Now they were reality. Without aliens holding them back, human science was reaching new heights every day. Meanwhile, on the colony ship New Horizon, Captain Steve Johnson was overseeing the construction of humanity's first new settlement in decades. The ship was orbiting a planet in the Alpha Centauri system, just 4 light-years from Earth. Terraforming report, Steve said to his science officer, Dr. Linda Davis. The atmospheric processors are working perfectly, Linda said. We're converting the planet's atmosphere to Earth normal in record time. The new quantum terraforming technology is 10 times faster than anything we used in alien space. Steve looked out at the planet below. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. In just 6 months, it would be ready for human colonization. They were calling it New Earth. What about the other colony projects? Steve asked. 12 more planets are being prepared for settlement, Linda said. All within the local group of galaxies. All using the new terraforming technology. We'll have room for 10 billion people within the next decade. Steve nodded. When humans had been part of the galactic community, they had been restricted to small, undesirable planets that aliens didn't want. They had been forced to use slow, expensive terraforming methods that took centuries to complete. Now they could choose the best planets and transform them in years instead of centuries. Back on Earth, President Amanda Foster was meeting with her cabinet to discuss humanity's progress. The room was filled with Earth's best and brightest leaders. People who had spent decades dealing with alien bureaucracy and restrictions. Economic report, Amanda said to Treasury Secretary Mark Williams. The Earth economy is stronger than it's ever been, Mark said. Without the cost of supporting galactic operations, we've been able to invest in research, infrastructure, and colony development. Unemployment is at 0%. Every human who wants to work has a job. What about resources? Amanda asked. The asteroid mining operations are exceeding all expectations, said Resources Minister Carol Thompson. The new quantum extraction. Technology can harvest more materials from a single asteroid than we used to get from entire planets. We have enough raw materials to support human civilization for thousands of years. Amanda felt a sense of satisfaction. When aliens had controlled galactic trade, humans had been forced to pay inflated prices for basic resources. They had been dependent on alien suppliers who could cut them off at any time. Now humans were completely self-sufficient. They didn't need anything from the galaxy? What about the alien situation? Amanda asked. Intelligence Director Robert Kim looked at his notes. The galactic community continues to deteriorate. The Xanthari Empire has lost half its territory to rebellions. The Kylox Federation has split into dozens of small nations that are constantly fighting each other. The hegemony is barely maintaining control of its core systems. Any attempts to contact us? Amanda asked. Daily, Robert said. We're getting hundreds of messages from alien governments, merchant groups, and individual planets. They're offering everything from tribute to complete submission if we'll just return. Amanda shook her head. Our policy remains unchanged. No contact with alien governments, no trade agreements, no military assistance. They made their choice. But even as she said this, Amanda felt a small amount of sadness. Not all aliens had been bad. Some had been friends to humanity. Some had genuinely tried to help, but those good aliens had been outnumbered by the ones who saw humans as tools. And when the time came to choose sides, even the good aliens had stayed silent. Trust, once broken, was almost impossible to repair. Meanwhile, in deep space, alien scout ships were trying to approach the Sol system. They came from different species and different governments, but they all had the same mission. To spy on humanity and discover their weaknesses. They never got close. Captain Ben Davis commanded the patrol ship Defiance, one of dozens of vessels that protected the outer edges of the Sol system. His ship was equipped with sensors that could detect approaching vessels from light years away. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, said his sensor operator, Lieutenant Gary Phillips. It's a Xanthari scout ship trying to approach from behind the asteroid belt. Ben smiled. Standard procedure. Disable their engines and escort them to the boundary. The Defiance moved to intercept the alien ship. When they were close enough, Ben activated the ship's new quantum disruptor. The alien vessel's engines simply stopped working. Their weapons powered down. Their shields failed. The aliens found themselves helpless, drifting in space while the human ship approached. Xanthari vessel, Ben said over the communication system. You have entered Sol system space without permission. Your ship has been disabled for your own safety. You will be escorted to the system boundary and released. The alien captain's voice came back, full of fear and confusion. Human ship, our engines have failed. How did you do this? Our technology should be immune to all known disruptor weapons. Ben didn't answer. The quantum disruptor was based on principles that alien science couldn't understand. It worked by temporarily altering the fundamental forces that held matter together. To aliens, it would seem like magic. Your engines will be restored when you reach the boundary, Ben said. Do not attempt to return. Future violations of Sol system space will result in the destruction of your vessel. The Defiance used its tractor beam to pull the disabled alien ship to the edge of the Sol system. Once there, Ben deactivated the quantum disruptor. The alien ship's engines immediately came back online. Remember what you've seen here, Ben said to the alien captain. Tell your people that humans are no longer the weak species they once knew. We have grown beyond your understanding. The alien ship fled back into galactic space, carrying news of humanity's new power. Similar encounters were happening throughout the system. Every alien ship that tried to spy on humanity was captured, disabled, and escorted away. The message was always the same. Sol system was closed to aliens. Within months, word spread throughout the galaxy. Humans had developed technology that alien science couldn't explain or counter. They had weapons that could disable any ship. They had defenses that could stop any attack. Most importantly, they had the will to use these abilities to protect their INDEPENDENCE. Dr. Alex Turner was working late in his laboratory when he received a visit from President Foster. She often came to see the scientific projects that were transforming humanity's future. "How are we doing, Alex?" Amanda asked. Alex gestured to the machines around him. "Better than I ever imagined. When we were part of the galactic community, we were always being told to slow down, to make our technology compatible with alien systems, to share our discoveries with species that never shared anything with us." Captain Ben Davis stood on the bridge of the exploration ship New Horizon, watching the stars shift and change as the ship prepared for the most important journey in human history. 10 years had passed since humanity had walked away from the galaxy. 10 years of growth, discovery, and transformation. Now they were ready to take the next step. "Final systems check," Ben said to his crew. "Dimensional engines are operating at full efficiency," reported his engineer, Lieutenant Tom Wilson. "We can maintain stable travel through parallel dimensions for unlimited distances. Navigation systems are locked onto the Andromeda Galaxy," said his navigator, Lieutenant Amy Clark. "Distance, 2.5 million light-years. Estimated travel time, 6 months using dimensional drive." Ben nodded. 6 months to reach another galaxy. The old hyperspace technology that aliens used would have taken thousands of years to make the same journey. If it could make the journey at all. "Communications?" Ben asked. "Quantum communication array is ready," said his communications officer, Ensign Gary Phillips. "We'll maintain instant contact with Earth throughout the journey." Ben looked at the main screen, which showed the edge of the local group of galaxies. Behind them, human civilization now stretched across dozens of star systems. Ahead lay the unknown. "Dr. Rodriguez," Ben said to the ship's chief scientist, "are you ready to make history?" Dr. Maria Rodriguez smiled. She had been one of the scientists who had worked on the Dimensional Drive project. Now she would be the first human to use it for intergalactic travel. "More than ready, Captain," Maria said. "We've detected signs of advanced civilizations in Andromeda. It's time to see if there are others out there who might be more worthy partners than the species we left behind." Ben thought about the galaxy they were leaving. In the 10 years since humanity's withdrawal, the old galactic civilization had never recovered. The Xanthari Empire had collapsed into civil war. The Kylox Federation had broken apart completely. The hegemony barely controlled a handful of systems. Some alien species had tried to rebuild. A few had even managed to create small, stable governments. But without human technology and expertise, they remained centuries behind what humanity had become. "Captain," said Tom Wilson, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's President Foster." Ben activated the communication system. President Amanda Foster's face appeared on the screen. She looked older than she had 10 years ago, but her eyes were still bright with determination. "Captain Davis," Amanda said, "today marks a new chapter. In human history, you and your crew are not just explorers. You are ambassadors of a new kind of civilization. One that chooses cooperation over domination, growth over stagnation, and freedom over control." She paused, looking directly at Ben. "Remember what we learned from our time in the galaxy. Power without wisdom leads to tyranny. Strength without compassion leads to cruelty. We became strong to protect ourselves, not to rule others." Ben saluted. "Understood, Madam President." "We won't forget where we came from or who we are," Amanda smiled. "Good luck, Captain. Bring us back news of new friends among the stars." The transmission ended, and Ben turned to his crew. "You heard the President. We're not conquerors or colonizers. We're explorers and diplomats. Our mission is to learn, to grow, and to find others who share our values." He walked to the center of the bridge. Activate dimensional drive. The ship began to vibrate as the dimensional engines powered up. Outside, space itself seemed to bend and twist as the new horizons slipped between dimensions. The stars disappeared, replaced by swirling colors that human eyes had never seen before. Dimensional travel is stable, reported Tom Wilson. We are now traveling through space that exists parallel to normal reality. At our current speed, we will reach Andromeda Galaxy in exactly 6 months and 12 days. Ben sat in his captain's chair, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. Behind them, Earth continued to thrive and grow. Ahead lay the unknown. Meanwhile, back in the Milky Way galaxy, the remnants of the old galactic civilization were still struggling to survive. On the planet Zarian, Governor Talvex was meeting with representatives from several alien species. They were trying to form a new alliance to replace the collapsed Galactic Council. We need to work together, Talvex said to the assembled aliens. None of us can rebuild alone. We must share our resources and knowledge. Counselor Kestar, who had once served on the old Galactic Council, shook his head. The humans had the right idea. They built everything themselves. They didn't depend on others. The humans are gone, said another alien, a Xanthari merchant, named Vrixtel. We can't follow their example because we don't have their knowledge or their unity. Talvex looked around the room at the representatives of a dozen different species. Each one was suspicious of the others. Each one wanted to protect their own interests first. Perhaps that's the real lesson, Talvex said quietly. The humans succeeded because they worked as one people with one purpose. We failed because we were dozens of species each trying to get ahead of the others. But even as he said this, Talvex knew it was too late. The trust between species had been broken long ago. The competition and prejudice that had driven humans away was still there, poisoning every attempt at cooperation. In deep space, an automated probe from Earth was conducting a survey of the old galactic core. The probe was operated by Dr. Helen Rogers, who was documenting the collapse of alien civilization for historical records. Fascinating, Helen said to her assistant, Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, as they reviewed the probe's data. In 10 years, alien technology has actually regressed. They're using primitive fusion reactors that we abandoned decades ago. Their ships are slower and less efficient than anything we built in the first year after independence. Sarah looked at the readings. What about their attempts to reverse engineer human technology? Complete failures, Helen said. They have some of the equipment we left behind, but they don't understand the principles behind it. It's like giving a computer to someone from the Stone Age. They can see that it works, but they have no idea how to build one themselves. Helen felt a moment of sadness for the aliens. They had been so arrogant, so convinced of their superiority. Now they were paying the price for their pride. Any signs of new scientific breakthroughs? Sarah asked. None, Helen said. If anything, they're falling further behind every year. Without human innovation to copy, they've stagnated completely. Back on Earth, Dr. Alex Turner was working on his latest project, a new type of spaceship that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The ship would be invisible to normal sensors and capable of traveling faster than anything previously imagined. Dr. Turner, said his assistant, Julie Mitchell, we're receiving updates from the New Horizon mission. They've made contact with several alien species in Andromeda Galaxy. Alex looked up from his work. What kind of contact? Peaceful, Julie said. Captain Davis reports that the Andromedan species are curious about humans but not aggressive. They seem to be more advanced than the species we left behind in the Milky Way, but also more cooperative. Alex smiled. Maybe we'll finally find the partners we always hoped for. He returned to his work, but part of his mind was thinking about the future. Humanity had spent 10 years healing from their experience with galactic civilization. They had grown stronger, smarter, and more united. Now they were ready to try again with new species in a new galaxy. 6 months later, the New Horizon reached Andromeda Galaxy. Captain Ben Davis stood on the bridge as his ship emerged from Dimensional. space into normal reality. Around them, the stars of a new galaxy sparkled like jewels. "Contact on sensors," reported Amy Clark. "Multiple ships approaching our position." "They're broadcasting what appears to be a greeting in several different languages," Ben smiled. "Open a channel." The main screen activated, showing the bridge of an alien ship. But these aliens looked different from the species humanity had known. They seemed calmer, more peaceful. Their leader, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms, spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, travelers from distant stars," the alien said. "I am Commander Nexus of the Andromedan Alliance. We have been watching your approach with great interest. Your technology is unlike anything we have seen." Ben stood up. "I am Captain Ben Davis of the Earthship New Horizon. We come in peace." "Seeking knowledge and friendship?" Commander Nexus smiled, or at least made an expression that seemed like a smile. "We have much to learn from each other, Captain Davis. Your people have accomplished something remarkable. You have traveled between galaxies using technology that—" Ben's reality itself. Ben felt hopeful. These aliens seemed genuinely interested in cooperation rather than domination. "We would be honored to share our knowledge," Ben said, "if you are willing to share yours." "Of course," Commander Nexus said. "In the Andromedan Alliance, we believe that knowledge belongs to all civilized species. We work together for the benefit of everyone." Over the following weeks, Ben and his crew learned about Andromedan civilization. It was everything that galactic civilization in the Milky Way had failed to be. Different species worked together. As equals, technology was shared freely. Conflicts were resolved through negotiation rather than war. Most importantly, the Andromedans were genuinely impressed by human achievements. They didn't see humans as servants or tools.